Hello also, for those who have become a little bit like me and become runners during lockdown, it is important to make sure that we do have our body moving in the best possible way before and after our runs. So we have got a warm-up video that we've sent out to you guys to look at what's the best way to get you going before your runs and do workouts. Now I'm going to take you through a stretching routine specifically for runners to make sure that your body recovers to its optimal level before you set yourself out on your next run. Alright, so all you need is a mat and a bit of clear space, and let's get into it. So we're going to start ourselves off with just our calf stretch. So a nice important one for when you are running, as your two big powerhouse muscles when you do propel yourself forward, like your calves and your glutes. So they're going to be the ones that feel it when you do run. It's going to mainly be your lower leg muscles that do feel things when you are running, but we will add in a little bit of lower back mobility as well to make sure that that is feeling a-okay for those that have started a lockdown run. Now each stretch you should attempt to hold for anywhere between 20 to 30 seconds at a time. I'm going to take you through each stretch once, but if you want to replay this video a couple of times to make sure that your body is primed and ready to go, then feel free to. We're going to stay, so I've gone right leg back this time, so we're going to stay that way. We're going to step onto our left leg, bringing our right leg up, going into your quadricep stretch. So you should really feel that down the front of your leg. If you are finding this a bit difficult, you can find something to rest your foot onto if you can't reach your foot towards your bottom that closely. Good stuff. We're going to put our right leg back down to the ground, cross your left leg over in front of it, and we're reaching ourselves across. Now this isn't going to be a massive stretch, but you should feel it a little bit down the side of your body and down the side of your upper leg. You're going to come up, send yourselves forwards, and should feel a stretch through the right hamstring. So you can have a light bend through that left knee. And if you need to rest your hands, you can rest them shins, ankles, or ground, wherever you're most comfortable. Bring ourselves back up into standing. We're going to change legs over, so this time left leg goes behind. We're going to set ourselves down into that hamstring stretch. So really trying to keep that left leg or your back leg is straight, light bend through the front leg. As I said, you can rest your hands onto the ground, onto your shins, onto your ankles, wherever you have the most stability and feel most comfortable. Getting yourself back up into standing, staying in the same position for your legs, reaching yourself over. Leaning yourself a little bit into that stretch going to the left, so you'll feel a little bit more of a stretch through there. Coming out of that, stepping onto our right leg, drawing your left knee, your left foot up towards your bottom and holding onto that for your quad stretch. Try to stay nice and tall through this movement. If you do feel you need to have something to hold on to, feel free. Grab yourself like a chair or a wall, something you can stand close to. Stepping that left foot back into your calf stretch. As I said, calves are really important when you are going running because they will propel you forwards. So you should be focusing to make sure before you are running that you can do single leg calf raises comfortably. So if you're starting your lockdown run at the moment, I'd test yourself on making sure that you could do at least 25 single leg calf raises each side with good form. We have put some posts up about this on our social media, so you can go have a look at those to see what we would say good form is. But you do want to be able to make sure that you have a good pattern of single leg calf raising before you run. Alrighty, we're going to bring ourselves down to a kneeling position, so we're going to go staying with your right leg forward. We're going into a stretch of our hip flexors, so tucking that pelvis underneath and light stretch into it. If you tuck your pelvis underneath, you will feel the hip flexor almost straight away. If you don't tuck the pelvis underneath, it will feel more of a quad stretch, and that's how you know if you're doing it the right way for this kind of stretch. If you are wanting the extra part of the stretch, left arm goes up and send yourself over. So staying wherever you feel comfortable for this one. Now, as I mentioned before, glutes are some of the important muscles that propel you forwards with your calves, so we're going to go into a bit of a glute stretch. So we're going to walk right leg across, hands onto the ground, drop yourself down into your pigeon. Now, only sink yourself down as far into this stretch as you feel comfortable. If you're wanting extra parts to this stretch, you can in fact lift up the back leg and hang on to it. It'll give you a bit more of a quad and hip flexor stretch to the front there, or dropping your elbows down to the ground to deepen yourself into the stretch, but just however you're feeling comfortable here. So as you're getting into running, the other thing you might start to notice is that your inner thighs become a little bit uncomfortable. I can say that was something that happened to me after I did my first couple of runs. Trying to do a workout the next day was a little bit uncomfortable for me, so we're going to go into a stretch for our adductors or our groins. So from here, you're going to tuck that right foot all the way underneath, sink yourself down into it, and have your foot facing so that your arch is down to the ground, so you can feel the stretch through that inner part of the leg. So you can keep yourself resting here, or if you want to make it a little bit more dynamic, if it's a little bit more uncomfortable, you can in fact pulse yourself up and down into the stretch, and you'll feel it throughout different parts of your groin if you rotate your hips a little bit with this. Good stuff, guys. We're going to change ourselves to the other side. So if you want to take a stretch in between, you can drop yourself all the way down and feel both groins in there for a little bit, which will really open up through your hips. But then we're going to transfer ourselves across to the other side. Now, same thing, making sure that your arch of your foot is down towards the ground and you're sinking yourself down into the stretch. Now, as I said, you can go through and just kind of pulse yourself through the movement. Or if you feel more comfortable just holding the stretch, you can do that. You might also find when you're pulsing your way through this kind of movement that you'll find one specific point that is the tightest, and that's where you can just stop and pause yourself, and as you exhale, sink yourself down into that stretch, that point just a little bit more. From here, we're going back into our pigeon stretch. You're going to roll all the way around to the other side, flip that leg around, sink yourself down into it. Now, as I said, there are options here for you if you want to deepen the stretch a little bit more. Down onto your elbows is one option, or if you're particularly flexible, sinking yourself with that back leg up, feeling the stretch in the left glute and the right quad and hip flexor, but just holding wherever you feel most comfortable. We're going to bring ourselves back up into that half kneeling position so that we can do our hip flexor stretch. So making 299 is we're tucking that pelvis underneath as we lean slightly into that stretch. Now, as I said before, if you don't tuck your pelvis underneath, you will notice that it will go down into your quad a little bit more. So when I say tuck your pelvis underneath, imagining that your pelvis is like a bowl of water and you want to tip the water out the back. So we're not looking at pushing ourselves forwards, we're holding in that same position and tipping the water out the back. we're gonna bring ourselves down onto the ground, into another glute stretch. So left leg's gonna stay bent as we put our right foot over the left thigh and then hug it in for your figure 4 stretch. Straightening out through the left leg, drawing the right knee across the body and rotating down into the stretch. We're going to hold this stretch here and get a bit of a stretch out through your lower back. So as I said, most of the movement that we have does come through your lower legs, but if we don't make sure that our back is happy and healthy as well, it's going to make it a little bit more uncomfortable. Alright, back to the other side. So we're going to bend that right leg in, left foot over your right thigh, hugging that in and holding it there. Good, last one, straightening out the right leg, drawing the left knee all the way across, looking over that left shoulder. Alrighty, for our lockdown runners or our normal runners, there's a nice little stretch to keep your body primed and ready to go for the next run you have. Stay tuned for more of our content. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.